Story 1. Inexpensive gift exchanges. I would prefer to receive nothing from my colleagues rather than more plastic trinkets from the dollar store. This is part of our culture of overconsumption, and I dislike being expected to not only enthusiastically accept these items but also to give them in return. Story 2. I'm over 50 years old. I grew up using landline phones, and it was completely normal when no one answered your phone call. Now, people expect you to be tethered to your smartphone and get upset when you don't answer. It's irrational. Just because you called doesn't mean I am available. Also, just because you text doesn't mean I'm available to respond. Story 3. Going to work while sick or facing financial penalties due to inadequate sick leave makes it difficult to stay home. Employees often feel compelled to do a lot of work while unwell, trying to justify their absence by obtaining a doctor's note. Story 4. Putting your child's entire life on the internet is concerning. I am really glad I was born in the 1990s and not today for this reason. Private lives seem to be a thing of the past, with every minute detail of life being filmed and photographed. Story 5. Recording or taking pictures of people in public seems normalized these days, and I wish it weren't. Story 6. Having your phone out all the time can be disruptive. Put it away during dinner and while shopping. Avoid long video calls or using speakerphone for more than 2 minutes in public. Keep it out of sight when hanging out with others. Most importantly, put it away while driving. Live in the moment with the people around you. Story 7. Social norms often lead people to believe that wealthy individuals are intelligent and act in the best interests of others. Story 8. I'm French and do not like the cheek kiss. I would rather say only hi or shake hands, but it comes across as rude. Story 9. The high expectation around post-secondary education is concerning. We need people with university education, but not to the extent we currently treat as normal or desired. Especially when degrees sometimes lead to jobs where you learn everything necessary on the job rather than in school, making the degree a mere token of entry rather than adequate preparation. It contributes to debt, stress, and lost labor, which we should not have to bear unless it is truly beneficial to your career. We also seem to recognize the importance of experience and previous work. Story 10. Goodie bags at children's birthday parties often contain items that quickly end up in landfills and provide very little enjoyment. It's time to reconsider this practice. Story 11. The amount of gifting each year for arbitrary occasions is excessive. While gifting is a kind gesture, it should come from a place of care for the recipient rather than from consumer culture dictating that a specific day requires gifts. Story 12. Instant gratification is prevalent in everything. Amazon's 2-day shipping, texts, and emails expected to be read and responded to immediately, fast food, and much more contribute to our increasingly fast-paced lives. Can be challenging, if not impossible, to process it all. I stopped wearing my smartwatch and started blocking my phone for several hours each day, which has helped me gain a better grasp on my life. I firmly believe that this rapid lifestyle contributes significantly to many people's anxiety. Story 13. I wish people would stop telling others they will never succeed in life if they do not go to college or university. Success does not have a one-size-fits-all path, and there are many ways to build a fulfilling life without following that traditional route. Story 14. Saying we should hang out sometime when you don't actually mean it is perplexing. I have no idea why this became a trend. Leading someone on is unkind. Story 15. I wish the stigma around taking unpaid time off would disappear. I am not living paycheck to paycheck, so once I have used my paid leave, I still want to take time off. However, every time I do, people say, "But you're not going to get paid." When I respond, "Yes, that's fine," they still give me strange looks. Story 16. The need to fill conversational silence is not necessary. I'm happy to be quiet and relax with you if neither of us has something to say. I don't want to feel like I'm underperforming socially if there is a pause in the conversation. Story 17. Team building activities. No, Jim. I do not want to climb a tree and cross a rope bridge walking backward while blindfolded. Story 18. When anything out of the ordinary happens, people automatically take out their phones and start recording. Story 19. People share their opinions on nearly everything. At one of my previous jobs, some coworkers discussed masturbation in the break room. On social media, it's even more extreme. Story 20. I do not need to drink to have a good time and dislike being seen as an outlier for not wanting to. Story 21. Suits and uncomfortable clothing. I am an attorney and absolutely dislike wearing a suit in the middle of summer. Let's dress comfortably and discuss the issue like adults. There is no need to play dress up. Story 22. Gift giving out of obligation is unnecessary. If I find something perfect for you, I will get it. However, let us stop the forced exchanges. Story 23. Seeing Trump's face on all my news feeds all the time. I actively avoid those articles, but there is no escape. Story 24. Everyone acts like an armchair or keyboard therapist. Do you have relationship issues? Your partner is a narcissist, avoidant, or has an anxious attachment style. Stop pretending to be a relationship expert just because you saw something on social media. Story 25. FaceTiming in public is surprising. For some reason, people feel the need to speak loudly during video calls. It's not the same as the noise level of a normal conversation in a restaurant. Story 26. Involving or expecting alcohol to be served in almost every social environment. Can we just have some decent places to enjoy ourselves publicly without some intoxicated individuals ruining it? Story 27. Person A. Hey, how are you? Person B. Great. And how are you? Person A. No answer. Keeps walking. Story 28. I secretly wish the social norm of constant productivity and busyness would disappear. It feels like everyone is always expected to be doing something useful or achieving some goal, leaving little room for relaxation or simply enjoying the moment. This can be overwhelming, and it would be nice if taking a break or doing nothing were seen as equally valuable as being productive. Story 29. I may be in the minority, but I dislike the entire culture surrounding children and iPads. I feel it is another way to neglect your child and allow them to control the parent if they do not get their way. Story 30. Starting a chat with hi and leaving it at that until I respond is not necessary. Just tell me what you need to convey. Story 31. Obligatory thank you notes, specifically for weddings, can feel unnecessary. I enjoy writing heartfelt messages for birthdays and Valentine's Day, expressing my appreciation for my loved ones. However, thank you notes for weddings seem excessive. I don't need you to tell me how much you'll treasure the towels I got you. They were on your registry, so I already know you like them. Thanks for the money feels hollow and somewhat uncomfortable. I take pride in giving thoughtful gifts for birthdays, Christmas, and other occasions, and I look for the perfect gift all year round. Being formally thanked in writing for what is likely the least thoughtful gift I'll give someone, either a click on your registry or a check, just seems silly. It also seems excessive to expect a couple who just planned a large event for hundreds of people, likely spending tens of thousands of dollars, to write hundreds of individual notes thanking guests for plates or other gifts. If someone goes above and beyond to support you, then by all means, send them a card. But if I attend your wedding as a guest, please know that the lovely party is thanks enough, and feel free to save yourself the effort of writing additional notes. Story 32. Promotion can change people's behavior. I work with many salespeople, and when one becomes a manager, they often lose respect for those they consider beneath them. They no longer feel the rules apply to them, and their empathy seems to vanish. Story 33. There is no reason for workers at grocery stores and other single-location services not to be able to sit down while they work. The outdated norms of professionalism that previous generations adhered to are ineffective and detrimental to employees. Story 34. Loud music at restaurants and bars can be disruptive. I understand background noise is expected, but I can't handle a band playing so loudly that I cannot hear myself think while trying to socialize with friends over a meal. Story 35. The influence of religious ideas in state politics often dictates how others should live their lives, which can be seen as an attack on individual freedom. This perspective is not compatible with the fundamental role of government. Story 36. The phrase, "How are you?" is commonly used as a greeting, While it is often considered a mere pleasantry, I wish people would only ask if they genuinely cared to know the real answer. Story 37. Opening any text exchange, whether on phone or instant messaging at work, with hi and waiting for a response is inefficient. Just get on with it. I don't care about your greeting, and I dislike feeling rude when I don't begin my messages with hi. We are both busy, so let's keep the conversation moving. Story 38. This may be more of an American issue, but tying our self-worth to our productivity is concerning. I see people who exhaust themselves, taking pride in working over 60 hours a week. I used to be like that, and after 5 years, I was suicidal and physically ill from stress. I strongly dislike the mindset that people need to be work-ready all the time. I had to explain to a colleague in another department that I am not on call, and I am not on a salary. When I step off campus, it is my time. He was incredulous and labeled me lazy. I worked a contract job and was only required to work 40 hours. It was heavily implied that I was expected to work overtime. People were averaging 70-hour weeks. I refused. Overtime was not mandatory, and I was under no obligation to work beyond my requirement. Unsurprisingly, they found a reason to terminate me after a couple of months. This brings me to a similar point. I strongly dislike the mindset businesses have that overtime opportunities are like a reward. I upset a number of executives at one company because they thought they were doing their employees a favor by offering overtime, and I had to explain that if there is a constant demand for people to work extra hours, it indicates a flaw in management. It is no surprise that I was let go from that job as well. There is no shame in taking time to do nothing. Sometimes it is necessary. There is also no shame in taking and preserving time for yourself. Story 39. Funerals. I am tired of them, especially religious services. I will not attend any more, and I refuse to have one. That entire industry is predatory. Story 40. Tipping in the United States. For goodness sake, just pay people a living wage. Also, let cashiers sit down. Work is difficult enough as it is. Story 41. Social media is often used as a weapon, leading to unnecessary exchanges with strangers online. This includes rude subliminal posts about people you know and direct confrontations with acquaintances. I remember when forums first emerged and we held intense school assemblies about cyberbullying. It made sense. Children needed guidance on responsibly using technology. Adults require this guidance as well. Sometimes people engage in truly harmful behavior, and yes, they deserve criticism for it. However, nothing frustrates me more than a post clearly intended for a specific person. It is better to call them or stop complaining. The culture of celebrity feuds hasn't helped, as it encourages emulation of such behavior. Overall, this has become overly normalized and quite cringe-inducing. In real life, those close to me dislike how bold and straightforward I am with both strangers and acquaintances, and perhaps that's what bothers me. I know that in reality, most people have little aggression when actually tested. Story 42. When someone feels empowered to behave inappropriately for attention on social media, such as pulling pranks in public or causing a scene in a store or fast food restaurant, it raises the question of whether we should bring back public shaming. Story 43. Not calling out liars, especially politicians, and reminding them they have lied every time they attempt to deceive the American people with false promises. Story 44. Spelling words incorrectly because a government has manipulated you to be afraid of punishment. Story 45. Not bullying societal deviance from the norm. Many adults do not know how to act in public because they were not taught at home or by their peers the correct way to behave politely in public. Story 46. Having to respond when a stranger talks to you in public can be challenging. I was just doing my thing, enjoying my day, and deep in my own thoughts. Your need to engage or connect with others is your issue. Please leave me alone. Story 47. In U.S. politics, one is often forced to choose between the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. There is little room for independents, third parties, or simply opting out of the discussion. Individuals feel pressured to align with one side or the other. This situation is particularly frustrating when both sides bicker about each other, and I find myself either listening or ignoring the conversation. I often get pulled into conflicts simply because I choose to remain neutral. Once, someone commented that I was in the wrong for staying out of a discussion on an important topic. When these discussions take place online, I prefer to stay out of the chat and engage in other activities. Story 48. I believe the United States has normalized the entertainment value of crime, and I wish it would just stop. The focus of our entertainment on murder is especially troubling. How many television shows begin with a murder or revolve around solving the mystery of a murder? How many films focus on crime and gun violence? Murder is not normal. Not every problem is solved by shooting someone. There are so many other fascinating stories to tell about the human condition that don't require gun violence or murder. Story 49. Being friends with the parents of your child's friends can be challenging. Often, I don't even like the child, let alone want to be pressured into an adult friendship. Story 50. Ableism and the resulting lack of accessibility often lead to inadequate efforts in creating accessible environments. But we have a ramp. Sir, your ramp is angled diagonally and goes directly into a busy intersection. Story 51. Distracted driving is often caused by people using their phones. Cars with "Be patient, student driver" bumper stickers remind others to be cautious. I am getting one made that says, "Experienced driver, not patient. Get out of my way." Story 52. At-will employment can be beneficial at times, but it often gets abused. There are no protections in place for termination unless you can prove it was due to discrimination or retaliation, which most people cannot do, even when it is the case. Story 53. I feel obligated to say yes to things, especially with coworkers and extended family. It shouldn't be considered rude if I don't want to attend your birthday party, go out for drinks, or come over for dinner. I enjoy my home and the comfort it provides. Please don't make me feel bad for being a homebody. Story 54. People do not express gratitude anymore. This includes simple gestures like holding the door open or wishing someone a good day. Story 55. People staring at their phones in public. You are contributing to a culture of disengagement and normalizing disconnection. If you need to make a call, do so. Stop texting endlessly and communicate like a human being. You are diminishing the quality of social interactions. Oh, I'm reading a book. That's great, but it's important to engage with the world around you. Seek out your feelings, and if you disagree, feel free to voice your opinion. Story 56. Pledging allegiance to one's country daily, although it might be needed now more than ever. Anthems and prayers before games, council meetings, and events often lead to impatience for the ceremony to conclude, even for staunch supporters. You could see his eyes roll in response. Story 57. Women are often expected to shave their armpits. I dislike shaving and can manage any odor with deodorant. People in the United States react strongly when they see women with hair under their arms. Story 58. Blowing out the candles on a cake. No thanks, I won't take a slice of that delicious-looking cake. Story 59. Nobody needs to say anything when people sneeze. I have seasonal allergies, and I get really tired of thanking people. At the very least, can we limit it to one per day? Story 60. Alcohol is pervasive in our social culture. It is sometimes considered unusual if you do not drink. Story 61. Men should open doors for women, especially when the woman is far enough from the door that she has to run to keep up. Story 62. How much of your life is tracked online and the reality that privacy is non-existent unless you disconnect and live in a cabin in the mountains. Story 63. Inequality between genders. I am tired of one gender being afraid for their lives because of the other. Story 64. The pressure to always be busy and productive is exhausting. I wish we could normalize taking breaks without feeling guilty or unaccomplished. Story 65. Hugging to greet and say goodbye to people who are essentially strangers is not something I want to do. I don't want to hug your girlfriend's sister's boyfriend goodbye. Story 66. Tipping culture in America is overwhelming and pervasive. It's reached a point where I cannot enter a single business without being confronted by an iPad asking for a tip. No, I do not wish to tip on the Chinese food order I placed and drove here to pick up. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.